All right, let's talk about the Unit 4 study guide. Remember, you need to go back and any of them that you get wrong in a different color, you need to make your corrections on your study guide, okay? So number 1, Ben draws a quadrilateral that has only one pair of parallel sides. Instantly, the only one with one pair of parallel sides is a trapezoid. And if I look at all these shapes, boom, my answer is A. Which list describes all the correct ways that a rectangle can be classified? You should immediately draw your tree. So quit playing the Red Robin song. So it doesn't matter which one's rectangle and rhombus, remember. So let's just pretend like this one's rectangle, and then you go up the tree. So rectangle, parallelogram, and quadrilateral. So it would be all of the correct ways. It would be D. So it's also a parallelogram and it's also a quadrilateral. Okay, a rectangle is a quadrilateral with exactly. So you need to go ahead and you need to draw your rectangle. So one thing we know about rectangle is that it has 4 right angles. Opposite sides are congruent. Opposite sides are also parallel. We also know that their diagonals bisect. And their diagonals are congruent. And that's pretty much all we know about a rectangle. So one pair of congruent sides, no, there's 2. One pair of parallel sides, nope, there's 2. 4 congruent sides, no, that's a square or a rhombus. 2 pairs of congruent sides, yes. So D is my answer. Pete draws a quadrilateral with congruent diagonals. Circle all that apply. Circle all that apply. So the only thing we know about trapezoid is that it has exactly one pair of parallel lines, so we can get rid of A. All right, so congruent diagonals. So here's a diagonal, here's a diagonal. Are those the same length? Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and circle B. Let's go over here. Is this length the same as that length? Yes. I'm going to circle C. Let's check out D. Is that length the same as that length? No, because the red is by far shorter than the blue. So that is not true. So B and C are your answers. Sue draws a quadrilateral that has opposite sides parallel. Circle all that apply. Once again, guys, the trapezoid only has one set of parallel sides. So it doesn't have all sides are parallel, or that has opposite sides parallel, because these sides are not parallel together. Here and here, those have opposite sides parallel. So we're going to circle B. Here and here, those are opposite sides that are parallel. So let's go ahead and circle C. And then these sides are parallel to these sides. So those have opposite sides parallel. So D. So pretty much everything except for a trapezoid. Which list describes all the correct ways that a parallelogram can be classified? Once again, we got to do our tree. So quit playing the Red Robin song. All right, so it said parallelogram. So parallelogram is also a quadrilateral, and that is it. So if I read up here, the only one, so obviously a parallelogram is a parallelogram, so it's also only a quadrilateral. Which statement is not true? All right, so let's do our tree. Quit playing the Red Robin song. All right, all squares are rhombuses. That's true. So it says not true. So let's go ahead and get rid of A because that is true. All parallelograms are quadrilaterals. That's true because I'm going up the tree. So go ahead and get rid of that one. All rectangles are squares. No, you cannot go down the tree. So C is going to be our answer. But let's check out D just in case. All trapezoids are quadrilaterals. All trapezoids are quadrilaterals. That is true because I go up the tree. So C is my answer. Which of the following could be also called a rectangle? Yep, you guessed it. Do your tree. Quit playing the Red Robin song. And so rectangle is also a parallelogram, and it's also a quadrilateral. So my answer is A. Because look, rhombus, square, and trapezoid are not circled. I don't know what happened to 9, 10, 11, guys. I don't know. I guess I got weird with the counting, but it says write volume or surface area. Remember, volume is inside a 3D object. Surface area is outside a 3D object. So filling a fish tank with water, the water goes inside. So that's going to be volume. How much aluminum needed to make a can? The can and the aluminum is the outside. So that's going to be our surface area. How much sauce a bowl can hold? So sauce goes inside the bowl. So that's volume. Wrapping a birthday gift. You wrap the outside. So that's surface area. How many pennies fit into a jar? So they go into the jar. Therefore, that's a volume. And lastly, icing a birthday cake. As much as I would love an entire cake of just icing, you ice the outside of it. So that's going to be surface area. All right, which could be used to find the volume of the cylinder shown to the left? The first thing you should do is grab your formula sheet and immediately write the volume formula, which is pi r squared h. So now pi, if I look up here, they just kept pi as pi. So I'm not going to change it to 3.14 because they didn't. Now the radius is half the diameter. They gave me the diameter because that's the entire way. So I've got to cut that in half. Oops, why did it do that? All right, so 15 cut in half is 7.5. So that is what I'm plugging into the radius, 7.5 squared. And then my height is how tall the cylinder is, which is 5. And bam, there is my formula. So if I look up here, the only one that's identical is this one. Find the surface area. I immediately go to the surface area formula on my formula sheet for a cylinder, which is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. I know that because I just directly went to my formula sheet and wrote it. All right, surface area 2. We turn pi into 3.14. I've got to see, lucky for us this time, they gave us the radius. So I can just plug that 3 straight in. Plus 2, turn pi into 3.14. Once again, the radius is 3 and my height is 10. If you need to, guys, immediately go radius is 3, height is 10, so it's easier for you to plug in. That's completely fine with me. Now remember, we got to get rid of exponents first. So 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay? Check yourself using your calculator because there's that squared button on your calculator. I'm just dropping everything else exactly as I see it. All right, from this point, I got to break it up into 2 chunks. Okay, so we're going to break up this chunk and this chunk, and then I'm going to add them together. I'm just going to drop that plus sign. So in my calculator, 2 times 3.14 times 9 is 56.52. And then the other side is 2 times 3.14 times 3 times 10. And that gives me 188.4. Last step, I just add them up. So 56.52 plus 188.4 gives me 244.92 millimeters. And remember, it's a surface area, so it's squared. And please punch all these numbers into your calculator at a minimum of twice, because remember, sometimes the buttons get stuck and everything else, so make sure you're careful. Find the volume. All right, I go to my formula sheet. I find that the volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. So length, width, height. The length is how long it is, which would be 4. The width is how wide it is, which would be 6. And my height is how tall, which would be 3. Now, all I do is I just plug it in. So my length is 4, my width is 6, and my height is 3. And lucky for us, volume is super duper easy. All we do is multiply those 3 numbers. So in your calculator, 4 times 6 times 3 gives us 72 meters. Remember, volume is always cubed. Find the volume. Okay, once again, I go directly to my formula sheet, and I see that the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. All right, let's do radius and height. My height is 12. I should see that immediately. My radius, they gave me the diameter. So remember, I've got to cut that 18 in half to get the radius. So the radius is 9. Now I can just go ahead and start plugging in. Volume equals pi. We always turn to 3.14. If you use the by button, it's going to be wrong. Okay, you have to change it to 3.14. We determined our radius is 9, and we got to square it. And then the height is 12. According to order of operations, we do exponents first. 9 squared is 9 times 9, which is 81. Drop everything else down. And now I can go directly to my calculator. So in my calculator, 3.14 times 81 times 12 gives me 3,052.08 feet. And this is volume cubed. Which cylinder below has the greatest volume capacity? Yes, we have to figure out the volume for each one. So let's start with A. Volume equals pi r squared h. Volume equals 3.14. My radius, lucky for us, they gave it to us this time, is 5 squared, and my height is 12. Volume equals, I've got to do 5 squared, which is 5 times 5, so 25. And then I multiply. So 3.14 times 25 times 12 gives me 942. So I'm just going to keep this over here, kilometers cubed. Okay, let's do B. Volume equals pi r squared h. Turn pi to 3.14. I look over here. This time they gave us the diameter. So to turn that into the radius, we cut it in half. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So that's our radius that we're going to plug in. So 12 squared, and then my height is 11. Volume equals 3.14. Remember, I got to do 12 squared first. 12 times 12 is 144. And then I plug those in. So 3.14 times 144 times 11 gives me 4,973.76 kilometers cubed. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep going. And last one. Volume equals pi r squared h. The volume is 3.14. The radius, once again, lucky for us, they gave us the radius this time. We got to square it, and then the height is 7. So volume equals, got to do 11 squared first. 11 times 11 is 121. Once again, you can check all this in your calculator. You don't have to be going as quick as I am. 3.14 times 121 times 7 gives us 2,659.58 miles cubed. But let's pretend that that's kilometers. That way y'all aren't freaked out by units. So then I go back, I read the question. It says, which cylinder below has the greatest volume capacity? Well, boom. 4,973.76 is way bigger than the 2,000 or the 942. So my answer is B. If Lisa's swimming pool dimensions are 10 feet long, so the length is 10, the width is 13, and the height is 5.5, how much water will her pool hold? Remember, water goes inside, so that's a volume. I find the volume formula for a rectangular prism, and then y'all, I just plug in my numbers. 10 times 15 times 5.5. Go ahead and plug that in. And I get volume equals 715 square feet. So J is my answer.